Nobody wakes up one morning and decides to join the mafia. That's what I used to think too, that it was a choice, a dramatic, conscious crossing of a line, a handshake in a dark room, an oath, a moment you could point to and say, that's where it started. It doesn't work like that. It works like water, slow, patient, invisible, until one day you realize you're already underwater and you can't remember when you stopped being able to breathe normally. I grew up in a neighborhood in South Philadelphia where certain men were simply part of the landscape. They weren't scary. They were the guys who made sure your block was safe, who showed up when your uncle couldn't pay his medical bills, who got your cousin's assault charge quietly dropped before it became a conviction. They were, to everyone around me, a form of government that actually answered the phone. My father knew them, my uncles respected them, and by the time I was 14, I was running small errands. Nothing criminal on the surface, just envelopes delivered to specific addresses at specific times, questions asked and not asked, and getting paid 3 times what my friends made at the pizza place down the street. Here's the thing nobody tells you about that age. You don't think about consequence, you think about status, and in that world, I had it. But there was a moment, one specific Tuesday, when I understood that I hadn't been drifting towards something, I had already arrived. And what happened that Tuesday changed everything I thought I knew about loyalty, about power, and about the price of belonging somewhere. I'll get to that moment, but first you need to understand how the machinery actually works, because it's nothing like the movies. The popular image of organized crime recruitment is almost comically wrong. Nobody approaches a teenager with a leather jacket and an offer. What actually happens, and this is documented extensively in FBI sociological research and in the testimonies of former members like Henry Hill and Salvatore "Sammy the Bull" Gravano, is a process of incremental normalization. You do one small thing, it feels fine. You do something slightly larger, still fine. Each step is calibrated to feel like a natural extension of the last one, never a leap. By the time you're doing something genuinely serious, you've built up so much internal justification, so much loyalty debt, so much personal identity wrapped up in the group, that the serious thing feels like the only logical next step. Psychologists call this escalating commitment. It's the same mechanism behind cults, abusive relationships, and corporate fraud. The mafia didn't invent it, they just perfected it. For me, the escalation took about 18 months. Envelopes became collections. Collections became watching a door while men I didn't ask about had conversations I wasn't meant to hear. And watching a door became being in the room. Once you're in the room, you're not a kid running errands anymore. Here's the moment I promised you. I was 17. A man I'll call D, who had been something like a mentor to me for 2 years, who had taught me how to read people, how to stay quiet, how to make myself useful, was sitting across from me in a diner booth. He slid a phone across the table. On the screen was a photograph of someone I recognized, a guy from the neighborhood, my age, someone I'd played basketball with in middle school. D said 4 words. He's been talking, understand? I understood. And I want to be precise here because precision is important. Nothing violent happened that day. What happened was that I was being shown a door and asked whether I was the kind of person who walks through it. I sat there for a long time. D drank his coffee. He wasn't in a hurry. That patience, that absolute calm was the most frightening thing I had ever experienced, because it told me that whatever I decided, for him, was just Tuesday. I pushed the phone back across the table. He nodded once, put it in his pocket, changed the subject, and for 3 weeks after that, I waited to find out what pushing that phone back across the table meant for me. Here's what nobody who romanticizes this world understands. Leaving is not a decision, it's a negotiation. And you negotiate from the weakest possible position. I didn't leave cleanly, nobody does. What I did was make myself progressively less useful, a strategy that former FBI organized crime analyst James Walden has described as the most common survival mechanism for low-level associates who want out. You don't announce it, you don't ask permission, you just slowly, carefully become someone they don't need. It took 4 years. 4 years of calculated mediocrity, of being just unreliable enough to be sidelined, never unreliable enough to be a problem. I got out. A lot of people I knew didn't. One is in federal prison. One is dead. One, as far as I know, is still in, older now, running the same machinery that ran him when he was my age, probably looking at some 17-year-old kid and seeing something useful. I'm not telling you this story because it's exciting. I'm telling you it because the version of this story that gets told in movies and series is a lie that makes it look like a world with clear rules, clear loyalty, and clear exits. There are no clear exits. The only real difference between me and the people who didn't get out is not courage, it's not intelligence, it's timing and luck, and one diner booth where I pushed a phone back across a table and somehow got away with it. Most people don't get that.